Well, the panel was about international transport and its impact on the environment. So the main concerns were the tension between the benefits that trade and transport brings and the obvious climate change imperative of making sure that emissions, CO2 emissions, are brought under control in years to come. Well, if you look at the numbers just from international transport, it's somewhere of the order 2 to 4% of total CO2 emissions. So it's not that large at the moment, but of course it is rising and rising quite sharply. So it's certainly something we have to be very concerned about. Well, there are two main things we talked about in terms of ways of reducing them. One is technology. So we have people from the airline industry, from Airbus, maritime people, talking about the technological progress. And undoubtedly there will be big technological advances that will bring reductions in emissions. But that can only be part of the story. So the really exciting thing to me about the panel was the widespread acceptance around the table that we really do need a good, rigorous policy regime within which the sector will work in order to control and cap its emissions. Ideally it should be global, yes, but I'm hesitating because you have to build up to this slowly. Just the political reality. It's important to get things moving, to get things started. So I think it probably starts regionally. I mean, obviously the EU ETS has now got aviation inside. It probably starts regionally, so it must not end up there, but that's the catalyst, that's the way to get things started. Well, there are a lot of proposals going forward, so it's really important that there are sessions like this where people get to debate, get to understand each other's positions, in order to be able to put better proposals on the table in Copenhagen, in order to be able to influence. Transport could play a really important role in this, partly because of the direct benefits of reducing CO2 in transport, but also because it can raise funds, it can raise money. If there are emission permits that are auctioned, then there's a lot of money there that could potentially be used for developing country adaptation, developing country mitigation. So it could be quite a catalyst for change and support in the negotiations. Well, I'm glad to say we dealt almost entirely with the long-run issues, or the medium and long-run issues of climate change, rather than getting too sidetracked on the short-run issues of the downturn. We obviously talked about it a bit because it's going to affect the age of the shipping fleet and things like this, but we didn't get too bogged down in short-run issues. China, obviously, both China and India, obviously have to be brought into the system. There are real technical difficulties there to do with the Kyoto Accord and Annex 1 and non-Annex 1 countries, and non-Annex 1 countries obviously not being likely to want to accept obligations at this stage. So there are real tensions there. But as I said earlier, we need to get things moving. So get things started with regional-based schemes and then hope they progress to more global schemes as soon as possible.